Well, hello there. So, this is a different kind of thing, but it's bookish. I'm going to talk about some of the great books that I've read, but that I've never reviewed. On Instagram, if you follow me on Instagram, it's at Foxwood Author. I've reviewed 50 books on Instagram so far, and this is since joining Instagram, not since this year. Like, I didn't read 50 books this year. I probably read, like, I don't know, 3 or 4. And I joined Instagram quite recently, actually. It was 2019, and I don't know if I reviewed any books in 2019. It might have been 2020 that I started reviewing books, but anyway, I reviewed 50 books on Instagram. But the thing is, I've been reading for as long as I can remember, and there are some great books that I've read before joining Instagram. Sometimes some of them are before joining Facebook. And some of them are even before I had a smartphone. Yes, I am of that era where people had flip phones, and some of them were connected to the internet, I guess, but we didn't really have. When did Instagram come up? Anyway, when did Facebook come up? I remember when Facebook appeared for the first time, and my mom was obsessed with Facebook. She still is. Anyway, so I will be basically gushing about these books until I read this book called Claws by Mike and Rachel Grinty. I had never read a book that frustrated me so much. Like, typically when I choose a book, I see the book and I think, I might like that, but I don't know. I don't know. And then I deliberate on it for quite some time until I finally decide that if I'm just so interested in it, maybe I should buy it. And then I do. And then I usually like it. Also, I have an aunt who is a librarian, and she works in the young adult section. I don't know if she still does, but she was sort of specialty was the young adult section, and she was really, really good at recommending books to me. She was probably just recommending the ones that were trending at the time, but I liked all of them. And yeah, Claws was something that I went to a secondhand bookshop, and it had a cat on it. So I thought, I'm going to get it because it has a cat on it. And I just bought it on a whim, kind of. And that is a regret of mine. If you want to know why I did not like this book, you can go to, I don't know how to embed videos into videos, but if you go to my sort of page thing, I'm making hand gestures and you can't see me, you will find a video titled Books That Drove Me Crazy, and Claws is, I think it's the last book that I talked about. Anyway, you can go and check it out. Bunch of books that drove me crazy. So, 2 of them have a cat on it, which is very disappointing because I feel like books with cats should just be good because I like cats. Okay, will there be spoilers in this video? No, there will not be spoilers. If I make a video with spoilers in it, I'll let you know. I think it's raining outside. Anyway, a lot of this is vague memory. Some of the books I don't have with me right now. I live in an apartment, and I don't have a lot of space, so I didn't bring all my books. Most of the books in my bookshelves right now are books in my TBR pile. So the books I've actually read, they're still in my parents' place. So a lot of the books I don't have, so it will be like vague memory, like stuff like kind of remember. I also did go to Amazon and sort of copy pasted the blurb into the slides so that maybe it will trigger me and I will be able to recommend these books better. This is a list. You don't have to read this list. You can pause and read this list if you want to. I am not going to go through this list. So this, because there are so many books in this list, There are 18 books in this list. There are actually more books that I want to talk about, but at least there are 18 here. And I am going to talk about the first 5 books. Yeah, the first 5 books. Actually, this is not in any particular order, by the way. I mean, I have numbered them 1 to 18, and that's just for me to count them. Some of them are entire series, but anyway, and I wrote little notes, but I mean, I'm not going to read this, so you can pause and read if you're curious. But anyway, this list of books is not going to include middle grade or upper middle grade, or like younger kids books, like really little kids books. Like I used to read I think it was called like A Dog Called Mudge or something like that. I used to read Amelia Bedelia. I loved Amelia Bedelia. I read Eloise I think there's like Eloise and then Eloise 2 or something like that. I like Dr. Seuss books, so those books aren't listed here. I don't know what my favorite Dr. Seuss book is, actually. I really like Mick Elligott's Pool. I don't know why, but there's something about all the different fish that, wow, it's really pouring outside. There's a typhoon coming, actually. I don't know if it's going to hit where I live. Anyway, Mick Elligott's Pool, because of all the different fish that appear. I don't know. I just like that kind of thing. I also like the 500 Hats of Bartholomew Cubbins. That's a fun one. And oh, The Places You'll Go. That's a fun one too. Go Dog Go. That's a fun one too. I don't know. I like a lot of Dr. Seuss books. I don't know if there's a Dr. Seuss book I don't like, but there's some Dr. Seuss books I haven't read. One day, maybe I'll read all of them. He's so clever. Anyway, so as I said, this is part 1, and I'm going to go over 5 books. And yes, there are not 5 books here. There are actually more than 5 books here. There are actually 8 books here. But that's because I'm putting all Shannon Hale's The Books of Bayern series in as like one like clump. So these are all the covers that I have. These are all the versions that I have. So I went to Amazon and had to find the exact versions that I have or had, because some of them I did end up giving away. I don't know if I still have Tunnel in the Sky. I don't know if I still have that one. Anyway, that's the first one we're talking about. It's a very blurry picture. Actually, this cover version on Amazon was so expensive, it surprised me. It's a little book. It's Tunnel in the Sky by Robert A. Heinlein. Heinlein? Is that how you say his name? This book I sort of got for free, kind of. It was at my Nana's house, and she had like a bookshelf in the basement area, and she said, "Oh, you can pick out any book that you want." And I thought, "Oh, I can get to take home a book with me. That's nice." So I saw this book and I thought, that sounds interesting. I don't know what the blurb on this specific book was. I don't know if I actually looked at the blurb. I probably just looked at the first page and just started reading, and I thought, okay, this is really interesting. So it was my first taste of sci-fi. It was also, I don't know, I was pretty young when I read this. I don't know if it was for my age. I was in elementary school, I think. Maybe like 5th or 6th grade, maybe 5th grade. Maybe 11 years old or something like that. I remember being really young, though. I might have been younger than that. I don't know, but I know it wasn't junior high. I know I picked this up when I was in elementary school. I have a feeling that I was kind of young for this book. But, probably, maybe I was like 11 going on 12, I would say. Anyway, the blurb on Amazon says, it was just a test. But something had gone wrong, terribly wrong. What was to have been a standard 10-day survival test had suddenly become an indefinite life or death nightmare. Now they were stranded somewhere in the universe, beyond contact with Earth, at the other end of a tunnel in the sky. This small group of young men and women divested of all civilized luxuries and laws, were being forced to forge a future of their own. A strange future in a strange land where sometimes not even the fittest could survive. They don't really say a lot about what is actually going on in the book in this blurb. Because these group of teenagers, I think they were teenagers, yeah. They are involved in like some kind of, well, it says a test. I guess it's a test, like some kind of survival journey thing. And they're all excited, and the main character, I can't remember what his name was. The main character goes to this place and he's all excited, and when he gets there, there's already like a group of people that are there, and there's this leader guy, and he's kind of he's a bully, okay? He's like a narcissistic bully. And but this is just something that's going to be a short time, so the main character's like, well, whatever. And then he also meets this person named Jack, and for the longest time he thinks Jack is a boy. But actually her name is Jacqueline, and then other people are like, don't you know what a girl looks like? And they sort of tease him about it. So main character and Jacqueline, Jack, she goes by Jack. She's like one of those sort of tomboyish tough girls kind of trope. I don't remember if there was a romance. I remember, I think, hoping for there to be a romance, but there wasn't particularly a romance. It was a lot of survival kind of stuff, but main character and Jack do become close allies. I do remember, so there's, on the cover, there's these monsters. In the story, these monsters do appear, and it's like they have to fight or like run from these monsters to survive on this weird planet. And on top of that, main character is seeing how the way this leader guy is leading the they called it a colony, so is leading the colony in kind of an unfair way. Like there's food, but it's like people are ranked and stuff like that. There's a hierarchy. And so main character starts becoming like, so he's a nice guy. He's like, the main character is like the nice leader guy, the good guy. And so he tries to like take the leadership. He doesn't actually, I remember like, it's not like he wants to be a leader, but he doesn't like the injustice that's going on. Injustice, sort of like unfair stuff that's going on. So he just wants to change that for the better. And so, but there are some people that are siding with the narcissistic leader guy. So there's like these two groups that form. There's one group that forms around the main character, and there's one group that forms around the leader guy. So there's a conflict between the two of them. And of course, there's things like betrayals and like all that kind of stuff, and like backstabbing and all that. It's pretty exciting, actually. And on top of that, there are these monsters that are around. I can't remember if they fought the monsters. I think they did. So there is a lot of action and mystery and betrayal. And it's like you're at the edge of your seat. It's like, what is going to happen next? Can we really trust this person who now defected from the other group? You know, that kind of thing happens. So... and this is all happening on this planet, and they are expecting for like a rescue people to arrive soon, but no one is coming. So now they're thinking, okay, we have to actually figure out how to live here. Maybe we can never get home. So there's that sort of survival stuff going on. So if you like survival, sci-fi, betrayals, slightly horrifying type of action-packed book, then this is the one for you. With my vague memory, I would give this a 5-star, but it could be a 4-star. The reason I'm saying it could be a 4-star is because I remember the ending, for me personally. I'm not going to reveal anything, so don't you worry. For me personally, the ending was a bit underwhelming. it wasn't like the way I'd expected it to end. Like, what? That's that's how you're gonna end it? I don't know about that. But anyway, it's a pretty good book, pretty exciting, good book. So if you've never read, like, I don't read a lot of sci-fi, because it gets really, I don't know, technical and stuff. This one isn't that technical. I mean, there's a little bit of like futuristic type of stuff going on, but I mean, they are on this planet surviving, and they don't have like fancy gadgets with them or anything. They're just trying to build a human colony and survive and everything. So I just remember them having like pocket knives and stuff like that. So they don't actually have like fancy gadgets. So there's no explanation of fancy gadgets either. So if you're not into like all that technical sci-fi kind of thing and a little bit weary, I would suggest this book, Tunnel in the Sky by Robert A. Heinlein. Heinlein? I don't know how to say it. So that is this book. So that was that book. Okay. I'm going to take a sip of coffee before we move on. Okay, so this next book is not one book, but it's 4 books because it's a series. Okay, so this is the Song of the Lioness Quartet by Tamora Pierce. And I can't remember how I came about this series. I have a feeling that it was my librarian aunt. She probably sent this to me or something as the full quartet. The first book is Alana, the First Adventure. The second book is In the Hand of the Goddess. Third is The Woman Who Rides Like a Man. And fourth is Lioness Rampant. So, Amazon says, the complete saga of Alana the Lioness, from her years as a page disguised as a boy, to her triumphant adventures as a knight of Tortal, and her rise to the highest rank of King's Champion. So, what I remember about this book, because I remember a little bit more about this series, because I recently, it's not very recent, it's probably like 10 years or something, but recent enough that it's not like 20 years ago or something. I reread this series, so it's a little fresher in my mind, because I didn't reread Tunnel in the Sky, because at some point I got rid of the book. I wish I didn't. I might still have it at my parents' place, but I don't know. I wish I'd kept those books. I didn't know. I didn't understand when I was in elementary school and junior high school and high school and stuff. And I mean, I live in Japan, so I don't really understand the value of like certain book cover versions and that sort of thing. I wish I did, but yeah. Anyway, yeah. I don't think I have A Tunnel in the Sky. Yeah, I think I actually got rid of that one. Anyway, like back no, like. Hold on a moment. Hold on. Let me gather my thoughts. The Song of the Lioness Quartet. So what I remember the story is that there is Alana who wants to be a knight, and her twin brother, I can't remember what his name is, who wants to be a mage. But their father wants to send Alana to be a mage and her brother to be a knight, because girls can't become knights, okay? But Alana really wants to be a knight, and her brother really wants to be a mage. Like, he is not good with the sword. He cannot fight for the life of him. So what they do is, because they're twins, Alana disguises herself as a boy, Alan. And so they, I don't know where they switch, but they leave their father's place and then they switch along the way. So Alan is the twin, now disguised as boy, twin brother. Okay, so one of the brothers goes to be a mage, so the other brother goes to be a knight, and that's Alana, disguised as a boy. So they switch places in secret. I can't remember when and if their father finds out. I can't remember what happens. because Alana has to hide the fact that she is a girl. I specifically remember a few scenes how she's disguising herself, like when she starts developing into womanhood, she has to bind her chest, and she doesn't get into the pool with the boys. And so there's like, and she doesn't like get dressed with them. So there's like some little things that she does that at first everyone questions her, but after some time they stop questioning her because she's really good at fighting. She's really good with the sword and everything. So they stop questioning her. But I do remember there was like some bullies in the beginning. She probably was able to fight them off. Anyway, so she begins as a page boy, and then little by little she rises in the ranks. And so, I can't remember. I think like she's involved in some battles, but I also remember one thing about Alana. I'm just remembering now that even though she did not want to be a mage, she has like the ability to become a mage. Like she has like, I don't know if she has magical powers, but she has something. She has something, and she would also be good at that, but I think I remember something like she's afraid of her powers or something like that. And I remember something somewhere along the series that she is forced, like she comes into this situation where it's not like she's forced to use her powers, but she's forced to acknowledge them or something like that. So at some point that her powers start showing themselves, and then she can't really ignore it. Anyway, so I also remember there were many parts in the story where it's like, just because she's a girl doesn't mean she can't do these things, and so she really has to like prove herself. It's kind of like a Joan of Arc type of situation, I suppose. She has to prove herself. And so she's able to really keep her identity hidden for quite some time. I think there are some moments in the series, I don't know, I think it's towards the middle or towards the end or something, where she's found out by some of her close friends or some of the people that she trusts. There was this scene in like book 3 or 4 where she gets her period, and then the guy she was with thought that she was wounded because I think she gets it after battle or like something like that. And so he takes her to the healer, and the healer is like, it's her, I can't remember what they said, probably said some womanly thing, it's her time of the, I don't know, but she said something, and the guy is like, oh my gosh, you're a girl, or something like that. And so it's found out, I can't remember what he was. He's a guard or a mercenary or a merchant or something, but he was like one of her friends, but he wasn't part like of the knighthood. Like he wasn't a member of the royal army or something. Like I think something like that. Was he a thief? I can't remember. But anyway, some people do find out her secret eventually. I cannot remember if there is a romance. I feel like there was. And I also remember towards the end, like, or somewhere, I mean, I think it was towards the end where her brother reappears and they kind of reunite, and he's like this mage now. I don't remember what they are like after they've grown up. So anyway, yeah, so I do remember that there is magic from Alana in this series. It's a nice, I mean, Tamora Pierce is a very good author. This is a nice, like, strong girl fighting to be who she wants to be type of like old school fantasy. The There's lots of backstabbing, of course, jealousy among knights, and stuff like that, and lots of um sneaky people. And there's a little bit of magic. There's lots of tension. I think there's some people who betray the army or something like that. So like I can't remember. There's something about betrayal somewhere. And of course there is a wonderful climax, and I can't remember exactly what I felt about the end, but apparently I like this series enough to want to reread it, because I did reread it, this series, at some point. And yeah, it's a pretty good series. It's a pretty exciting series. So if you like an old school fantasy story about a girl becoming a knight and being all this tough female main character with a little bit of magic, maybe. I think there's a cat in it at some point. Nothing to do with Lioness, but there's a cat in it at some point. Also, I think at some point, like, her being a woman and also being a knight becomes like accepted. But she hides herself for quite some time. Anyway, that is a recommended series. Young adult, old school young adult fantasy. So if you miss like that kind of fantasy, then this is the series for you. Okay. Next is my favorite author, Shannon Hale. Actually, I have Shannon Hale for this book and another Shannon Hale. Oh my gosh, it's pouring like a waterfall out there. Okay, so Princess Academy is the book that made me realize, this is a weird thing about me, but this was in elementary school? A junior high, I think. The first year junior high. I was 12, 13. And Princess Academy, I was reading Princess Academy at that time. And this was the first book that made me realize that somebody is writing the book. I don't know why, but it never occurred to me that these people, authors who are writing a book, is like someone is writing the book. I mean, when you're a kid, people just like your parents make you food, or your parents buy you clothes. And I don't know, but it never really like occurred to me that these clothes are something that someone has made, and that there is a potential for somebody, like this is a job that somebody is doing, and it's not just like existing out there. Am I making sense? So Princess Academy, for some reason, it's the first moment that I realized, hey, this Shannon Hale person is writing this book. She is a writer. There is such a thing as a writer. Huh. Interesting. Could I be a writer? So I've always liked coming up with stories and stuff like that. And at that time, I was already doing that, coming up with stories and stuff. Like, I thought, I could write a story like this story. So I did end up trying to write a story like this story. It's very, very cringe, and it's only dialogue because, I don't know, I didn't know what to do. So I never finished that story. I wrote it in a memo pad. I still have that memo pad. I don't have it with me right now, but I still do have it. I keep all my creations. Anyway, Princess Academy by Shannon Hale. Amazon blurb says, Miri lives on a mountain where, for generations, her ancestors have quarried stone and lived a simple life. Then word comes that the king's priests have divined her small village the home of the future princess. in a year's time, the prince himself will come and choose his bride from among the girls of the village. The king's ministers set up an academy on the mountain, and every teenage girl must attend and learn how to become a princess. Soon, Miri finds herself confronted with a harsh academy mistress, bitter competition among the girls, and her own conflicting desires. So, yeah, I have a list of stuff that I remember about this book. First, I remember very clearly that at the academy, the girls are punished by being shoved into a broom closet. I remember that. I don't know why, but I thought, yes, if you have a very strict academy mistress, they will shove you into a broom closet. That makes so much sense. Anyway, I also remember that Miri being chosen as one of the girls to attend the academy was kind of by chance. She also didn't expect that she was chosen. So it was like the girls were gathered in like a circle and everything, and Miri wasn't particularly interested, but she ended up being one of the girls chosen from her village, and she ends up going to the academy. So it's sort of like not her will, like it wasn't her choice particularly to go. I remember that. Also, Miri has this childhood friend boy who supposedly likes her, but she's kind of oblivious to that. I mean, he obviously has some feelings for her, but she's like, we're just friends, you know. They're like best friends. There's also this scene where at some point in the academy life, like after it's been some time, like some months, she and her fellows, they get to go home. So they get to go back to their parents' place. And because of all the stuff that she's been taught of how to be a lady and be a princess and, you know, how to carry herself and everything, like she is acting different than how she was before. And then people like don't like her for that. Like they hate her for it or something like that. And of course there are bullies at the school. I also remember that there were some girls that were already like, they've already been training to be a princess, so they already know some stuff, like they know how to walk with books on their head, and Miri can't do that, and so they're like, what are you doing here, you small village girl? I can't remember exactly the sort of plot of the book because it's been so long since I last touched it. I also know that this book has a sequel, and I never knew about this sequel until some years ago. I've not read it, and I read the Princess Academy as a standalone, so I don't know what the sequel is about even. I do remember that the Princess Academy has kind of an ambiguous like ending. It's probably like one of those standalone, published as a standalone with series potential type of thing, which is definitely, I think it was definitely there, but I don't remember feeling like I needed a sequel either, so it's probably safe to say that you don't need to read the second book if you're not interested. So this is the book. I mean, this is a book about a girl being chosen to become a princess and being trained to be how to do the dancing, how to eat the food, what kind of things you need to do to be a princess. And then eventually there's some kind of assessment or test or something. But, so it's not, you know, like a wow kind of story. I don't remember what happens to the friend boy. I don't remember anything about the childhood friend boy, like what happens between him and Miri, if anything happens. But yeah, for some reason, this book was like the first time I thought I'd write down a story. So, I mean, it's not the book that made me think, oh, I'd like to become a writer someday. But, Shannon Hale's writing is just somehow very, very enchanting and like easy to read. It's like a comforting blanket. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know if I'm explaining it nicely. But if you like a story about a girl becoming a princess and you kind of want to self-insert and wish that you were the girl becoming the princess and you know that maybe you could do better, you know, something like that. I mean, it's a fun time. So, for me personally, like right now, I'm not particularly interested in like a plot like Princess Academy, but at that time I was obsessed with books like this. So, that's why it's here. Okay, so I want to talk about The Goose Girl, Anna Burning, Forest Born, and River Secrets by Shannon Hale. This is the Books of Bayern series. These are the exact versions that I have, and I do currently have these in my shelf right here where I live right now. But yeah, I was too late to take a picture myself, so I pulled all of these from Amazon. These are all the cover versions I have. For some reason, yeah, the first two books have the same sort of cover style, and the last two books have the same sort of cover style. So, anyway. So, The Goose Girl is the book specifically that I feel like, yes, this is the book that made me feel like I want to write a story, not a story like this, but I want to write a story that makes me feel like, that makes me fall in love, that makes readers fall in love with the story. Anyway, we're going to do something slightly different here. So, you're going to see my slides. There you go. Because I want to do this. I want to show you, this is Shannon Hale's website. The Books of Bayern books now have several different cover versions, but I like the original Goose Girl. It's sort of very fairy tale-like. So I wanted to go over the blurbs of The Goose Girl and all the others. The Goose Girl blurb. She was born with her eyes closed and a word on her tongue, a word she could not taste. Her name was Annadori Caladra Taliana Isley, Crown Princess of Kildenry, and she spent the first years of her life listening to her aunt's stories and learning the language of the birds, especially the swans. And when she was older, she watched as a colt was born, and she heard the first word on his tongue. His name, Falada. From the Grimm's fairy tale of the princess who became a goose girl before she could become queen, Shannon Hale has woven an incredible, original, and magical tale of a girl who must find her own unusual talents before she can lead the people she has made her own. Okay, so there's not a lot about what actually happens in the book. So I actually have a video on TikTok. I can't remember what my username is, but if you type in something like Foxwood Author or Anna Foxwood or something like that, you might be able to find me, because I'm not really on TikTok anymore. It's too chaotic for me. So I did talk about the Goose Girl. So basically, there's this girl, Annadori Caladra Italian Izzy, and she is born, she does not open her eyes for 3 days. That's how the book starts. She does not open her eyes for 3 days. And so she is a princess of Kildenry, and she must go to Bayern because of relations. Okay, so they are sort of not in good relations, so she has to go and meet the prince, and they are going to supposedly get married for good relations between the countries. And she has this lady in waiting who is like incredibly jealous of Annie. So Annie, later, she goes by Izzy to hide her identity. And the reason she has to hide her identity is because the lady in waiting is like suspiciously seeming like she's going to either supposedly murder Annie at some point while they are traveling to Bayern and take her place. And so some of the guards that Annie really trusts tells her to run. And so they're in the forest and she just runs. And she isn't able to get her own horse, Falada. And so she has to take some other horse. And so she eventually does get to Bayern, but then she finds out that her lady in waiting poses as the princess and is meeting the prince. And so Annie has to hide her identity to try to take back her position. And so she does end up as a goose girl. She has to hide her hair because she has blonde hair, and people of Bayern don't have blonde hair. So she hides her hair. And so she ends up getting a job as the palace grounds goose girl. And of course, she makes some friends and stuff, but then she does eventually meet the prince, but she has to hide her identity. They might start falling for each other. There might be a little romance, and she has to figure out how to get back her position. And on top of that, she's maybe figuring out of some of her unusual, maybe magical talents. And there is lots of like tension moments. There's a little bit of romance. There's a little bit of funny stuff. There is some like she makes some friends, and it's very magical, mysterious, tension, action-packed, intrigue. Can you tell? I really love this book. So that is The Goose Girl. Now I would give the blurbs of all the books, but I don't want to overwhelm you too much, and I'm burning. Now look, I did not take the name, I do not have this name, Anna L. Foxwood, because of this book, Anna Burning, okay? That was a coincidence. I did not even remember that the main character's name was Anna. So we are not alike. Me and this Anna are not alike at all. She is like a tough girl. She has like this, she knows how to control fire. She doesn't have like fire powers within her. Like it's not something inside of her, but she knows how to like control, fire. But there is like some kind of, tensions going around in Bayern. So she's a Bayern girl. And I think the events of her events, they happen after The Goose Girl. Now, I'm not going to tell you what happens in The Goose Girl, because it'll be a spoiler. But, yeah, there's some tensions in Bayern, and her power, like fire power, is sort of like somehow like she gets emotional, or she's a little bit impulsive and short-tempered, I would say. Not high-strung, but like her powers start running rampant. They start doing things on their own and burning things, so she has to sort of learn how to control her powers. But there's like some like self-conflict stuff going around. There's like some tensions and wars going around. And she also doesn't really like the powers that she has because it's destructive. So she has to learn how to control her powers. And so that's that book, Anna Burning. River Secrets. Okay, so I read Forestborn before River Secrets. You can read all these books as standalones. You can. But the order is River Secrets and then Forestborn. So, because River Secrets is about this main character called Razo. He's a soldier of Bayern. And Razo doesn't have any like magical powers, unlike Princess Izzy, unlike Anna, not me. He doesn't have any powers, but the girl that he likes, that he falls for in this book. I mean, that's not a spoiler. I mean, it starts out with him just like ogling her. She has powers to like manipulate water. Okay, I don't know, she doesn't have water powers, but she can manipulate water. Like she can speak to the water. And so he goes to this country called Tira. I don't remember if Tira is a kingdom. I think it is, but it's this kingdom like filled with rivers and stuff. So and it's Bayern's enemy. So he has to go here for like some relations kind of thing, and so there's like some tensions going on, and he's a Bayern boy, so there's all kinds of things going on with him too, and he wants to try to impress this girl that he's fallen for, and she can manipulate the water. So there's all kinds of stuff going on. So yeah, it even says in the blurb here, in River Secrets, readers revisit a world where even those with no special magical skills find themselves something they never imagined. So yeah, that's Razo. He doesn't have any magical skills. That was kind of interesting in a Books of Bayern book to not have any powers. That was an interesting risk, I think, for Shannon Hale to take. So now Forestborn is about this girl called Rin, who she can kind of hear the forest. She can, I don't know, she can speak to the forest, but she has some kind of connection with trees, okay? And Rin is Razo's little sister. So when I first read Forestborn, I was confused when Razo came up, because I remembered Razo from The Goose Girl. He was a stable boy or a young soldier in The Goose Girl. So I was like, wait, how are him and Rin related? How much age difference is there? What is their relation? Is his his daughter? How much time has gone by? I did eventually figure out that Razo was Rin's older brother, because there was a scene where he comes back, the older brother, he comes back, and she is like, Razo. Rin is like, Razo. So Rin's story, because she's a village girl, Rin's story is not some tensions in the palace and stuff like that, but there's some tensions going on in Bayern. There's some war is going to happen between Bayern and I think another country, not Tira, but there is another country called Hale. And so she wants to protect her brother or help her brother. She wants to do something to help. And so then she leaves her village and she goes to Bayern's castle or palace, I think. And she has to figure out how to use, she does have some magical powers, but they're very, very weak or undeveloped. She's also very young. I can't remember how old she is, but I remember her being young, 14 or 15 or something like that. So, yeah, it says many beloved Bayern characters reappear in this story, but it is Rin's own journey of discovering how to balance the good and the bad in herself that drives this compelling adventure. So yeah, so if you have read The Goose Girl and Anna Burning, you can skip River Secrets and read Forestborn, but you have to, you will have to do some figuring out of who the heck Razo is. But I'm telling you right now, Razo is Rin's older brother. I don't know how many years, but I think there's a considerable gap. I don't think it's 2-3 years. I think it's 4 or 5 years, 6 years or something like that. They also have a big family. They have lots of little siblings too. So anyway, yeah. And so yeah, you can skip River Secrets and just read Forestborn, because the characters that appear in The Goose Girl and A Burning don't make much of an appearance in River Secrets. They do make cameos, but not a lot. So if you want to keep all the characters in mind, you want to remember who is who and their relations and everything, it would be good to read The Goose Girl and A Burning and then Forestborn, and then go back and read River Secrets. River Secrets is yes, it involves a Bayern character, Razo, but it takes place in a completely other country. So you don't need to know a lot about Bayern with River Secrets. You can even read River Secrets apart from the other 3 books if you want to. That's my experience. So we are returning. Okay, so read these books. It's very exciting and nice. Okay, so last but not least, It's the last book. The True Confessions of Charlotte Doyle. So this book is what started my love for seafaring, piratey girl type of stories. Okay, so the blurb on Amazon says, 13-year-old Charlotte Doyle is excited to return home from her school in England to her family in Rhode Island in the summer of 1832. But when the two families she was supposed to travel with mysteriously canceled their trips, Charlotte finds herself the lone passenger on a long sea voyage with a cruel captain and a mutinous crew. Worse yet, soon after stepping aboard the ship, she becomes enmeshed in a conflict between them. What begins as an eagerly anticipated ocean crossing turns into a harrowing journey where Charlotte gains a villainous enemy and is put on trial for murder. That is already sounding pretty exciting. Won't you agree? So if you like books taking place on a ship at sea with storms and a mutinous crew with lots of tension and backstabbing, this is the book for you. So this book is kind of like, reminds me of Elizabeth Swann from Pirates of the Caribbean. Elizabeth Swann, it starts out as this well-mannered lady. She doesn't want to get her hands dirty, particularly she's in this dress and everything. But then she turns into a tough pirate, seafaring lady, right? The same thing happens with Charlotte Doyle. Like, you see the moment where she just, I don't want to say that she snaps, but she starts becoming one of them. I remember when I was reading this book, when I first read this book, it was like, oh, excitement and everything. Oh, who can she trust? And everything like that. And then I remember reading this book. I actually reread. I don't reread a lot of books, but I actually did reread this book. Not very recently, but recent enough that I remember thinking, this is a 13-year-old girl by herself on a ship full of adult men. Isn't that kind of problematic? I remember thinking that, but it's a story. It's a story. Nothing happens to her, okay? I mean, yes, okay, so things do happen to her, but nothing like problematic happens to her. She is like put on trial, blamed for things. She is asked to choose sides a lot. She sees someone murdering someone and told to like keep her mouth shut about it. Dead bodies appear here and there, and I think they're like shoved overboard and stuff. Like, that's what people do with the dead at sea, at least at the time, I guess. I don't know what do people do now if somebody dies while they're on the ocean? Like, do they somehow keep the body, or do they throw it overboard? Like, what happens with that? I don't know. Anyway, let's not get so grim. Although this story is pretty grim, but there's like so much tension and mystery, and it's like you don't know who you can trust. You don't know who Charlotte can trust. There is a moment where she like tries to be a lady, but also tries to be a well-mannered lady, at the same time tries to be like one of the tough ones. But there was also this moment where she just completely breaks down because she's all alone. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know who to trust and that kind of thing. Also, she's on a ship, and the sea can be pretty rough. So, I do have a lot of favorite parts in this book, but one of my favorite parts, and I won't spoil it for you, but it was how the book ended. How the book ended was exactly the ending that, if it ended in any other way, I wouldn't have liked the book. But it's the perfect ending for this kind of book. The perfect ending. I'm like, yes, at the end. So if you want to know what that ending is, and you like seafaring books with a sort of piratey element, And it's sort of girl who goes from being a little bit meek to being all tough. This is the book for you. It's very exciting. You learn a little bit about the names of parts of ships. And there's a storm. I can't remember if there are many storms or if there's just one big storm, but there are storms. So, those are the books that I love, which I've never reviewed before. So, that's it. Yep. Part 2 is next. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know if you've actually read any of these books. Before, did you like them and why? Maybe you didn't like them. I'd also like to know what you didn't like about them if you didn't like them. If you've never read these books, which ones do you want to check out? Yeah, so that's it for this video. Please, if you see some books here and you're like, I don't know if I would like it, but maybe my friend would like it. Go ahead, send this video to your friend. And, hi friend, hope you enjoyed that. Review / just me gushing and stumbling. Anyway, that's the end of the video. The secret word, let me give you a secret word is, the secret word will be, let's see, the secret word, how about confessions? Yeah, the secret word of this video is confession. So if you made it all the way to the end of this video, leave a comment and use the word confessions, plural, in your comment. Maybe confess something. I will confess that it's probably almost 10 p.m. right now, and I need to make dinner, so I'm gonna go do that. Anyway, I hope you liked the video. Have a lovely day. You will hear me in the next video. The fox is out.